How's it going, folks? Shugz here with another track walkthrough for you. This one is mine and Mr. David Rusts' recent collaboration called State of Emergency. Got released on Monday the 11th there on Damaged Recordings, Mr. Jordan Suckley's label. Flying up the charts at the minute. Doing very well. Thank you for the support on it. This one, the idea and story of this one is me and Rusty were playing our first back-to-back together in Dream State in SoCal last November. We wanted to create a track specifically for the set. This is what came from the idea. Rusty had a gig in Belfast and he came over 2 days before and we got in the studio and basically put this together. We didn't get the entire track done in the 2 days, but the majority of it, all the really juicy elements, the break, the basses, the grooves, everything was pretty much done in those 2 days. And then we were just polished it between ourselves to get it finished over I think it was a week or so after that, or 2 weeks after that, whatever, how long it took. But yeah, really cool track, really fun to make. We wanted to do something that was obviously complementing our styles where you could hear us, but we wanted to do something completely different as well. So we went for like a hard dance kind of buzz, complemented by an uplifting break and a trance drop. So it's like 3 styles in one. We'll start off here with a kick and bass at the start of the track, and yeah, we'll just get started. So this is the first thing here, the kick. Always start with a kick, bog standard stuff. Offbeat sub. Most basic stuff you can do, and then this is the first little bass. This is like the little hard dance bass that we come up with that we wanted to use. So put these together. Very nice. Very basic, but very nice. Just nice and bouncy. Certainly gets a reaction, that's for sure, when you drop it in the clubs. Moving along here, we'll get to the next little section. There's a little fill here, then we'll bring in some percussion. Now these little percussion hits here, just a lot of little simple sounds. Doesn't sound like much they don't sound like much on their own, but you throw them all together and you get a nice wee groove. So hold on, let's just bring this up. It's taking up a lot of screen space there. There's a little kick on the clap on the kick, sorry. This is like a wee trademark for me. I love to do this in almost every tune. Just adds to that bouncy little buzz that you're going for, you know what I mean? It just sounds really nice, especially with all these as well added. So we'll just go through them here, the little individual hits. There's one there, this one's a little click, a little pop, just to give that one a little extra depth. Here we have a synth stab. Below that is a little reverse into the synth stab. Basic, and then 2 little industrial hits here, which I've used before in tracks. And then some rolling snares with some more rolling snares. And I think these are just another 2 yeah, it's like a tom kind of. Yeah, I just couldn't hear that there, cut out. Yeah, just like a tom. And this is just like a bog standard percussion hit. As I said, they don't sound like much on their own, but you put them all together with the kick and bass and the clap, and you get a nice wee groove. Cool stuff. Moving along here, we have obviously those continuing. It's this little section here. There's not much going on. This track we didn't want to have like overly complex, because we wanted to get it done quite quickly. Not because the gig was coming up or anything like that. We just didn't want to spend all this time on something that we wanted to have as much fun as possible making this tune, and we didn't want to go through the whole process of producing music where you sit and tweak things beyond recognition over 3 months and then you hate the tune. You know what I mean? We just wanted to avoid that whole process and have as much fun as possible making this. So by doing that, we just wanted to blast it, get as much in as possible in the short amount of time that we could, and it came together quite quickly. So yeah, it's quite stripped back. There's quite a lot of detail in the fills and stuff and towards the end of the track, but all this stuff at the start was just basically let's get the idea down and have some fun. So here we have just adding more loops and stuff, getting it all sounding nice together. Some tribal hits here. all this complements the groove. Hat loop, another hat loop. This is an open hat. Some shakers. Just want to say as well, the project, everything is pretty much bounced down. There's not much to show. I like to just bounce as I go. Save CPU, and it's just a lot easier working with audio than it is with actual MIDI. So there's not a lot to show. The processing change and stuff's all bounced down. So it is just going to be the sounds, just to clarify, in case anyone's looking at any secrets which you're not getting. Moving along here, we'll have all the perk together with the little loop up here. So it sounds nice, just everything coming along together. Get here, there's a couple more loops that come in. A Raid, a Project 8 loop from one of his sample packs, Mr. Shane Kinsella. Check out his sample packs, they are really, really good, really, really useful specifically for tech trance and this kind of music. Very good packs. But yes, some more loops just coming in here, add to the groove until we get along to the first little break section here. Sounds very nice all together. Put everything in now and listen to it until we get along to the break. So there we go, little transition here. Covered this before, obviously get all your filtering and stuff done. Little transition here, building everything up, bringing all this down, building up some sweeps, and then obviously like our drop here, well, our impact here that takes us into our break. This little next section here was a vocal that we wanted to use for this first little drop with a bouncy bass. This was Rusty's idea, he brought this over with him. Very, very cool little vocal, works very well. Very nice. But what I wanted to do with it in this section was I just didn't want to bring in the loop and like filter it up. It's very boring. So what I decided to do was get like the effects chains going and created this. So this is all from that little vocal loop here. What you just heard, is all these sounds here that we're gonna listen to now are all just little variations of that to mix it up and make it sound a bit different. So there you go. Instead of just filtering up the loop, just getting a bit more interest. We'll have a lot of like atmospheres and stuff building up here. There's like a war. I think there's like a war kind of themed loop. I don't know how to even explain it. It's like barbarians going to battle. Sounds like something that came straight out of Mordor. But you have that with the vocal building up, and then your sweeps and stuff as well. There's some filtered bass as well. Just keeping everything along, filtering everything up with the focus on the vocal until we get to our little fill here with the bring in the bass, which is another thing that Rusty brought, which is cool. Bring in the bass. So it was just to build everything up there, get that little sample in, then drop in with the kick and bass and the vocal. So we'll just have a listen to the little build here now. Bring in the bass. Very nice, works very well, gets a reaction every time. Strip back, it's just, this is one thing you learn over time producing music. It's little tracks like this and little sections and tracks like this, with there's just kick and bass and minimal stuff going on, you get the biggest reactions. Everything's so clean and just punchy. If you have too much going on, it takes away from the concentration of the listener and don't want to say confuse them a bit, but if you only give them a couple of things to focus on, very minimal things, they're obviously going to enjoy it more. And this is certainly the case in this section here. So the vocal comes along with the kick and bass to here. We'll have a little fill section. This area here, then it starts to build up. So we add in the percussion elements again with the vocal. And I made a variation of the vocal as well. again, just didn't want to keep this going too far too linear, too boring. I was just keeping it going really long until the break. It wouldn't just wasn't enough. So I'll have just a listen here till a little fill. So very cool there. Just taking the exact same loop, the vocal loop, taking little sections of it, like pitching it down, adding delays, adding reverbs, panning stuff. It's another little variation there. I think it's just reverses and stuff. Yep. These two together. I think both. Just to give a little reverse effect into that section. And then here, this is the, let me find it. This is the variation on the vocal. Where the hell is it? In here. That many groups, I'm getting lost in my own project. This is a little variation, so it's not the same as this. This is the original one here. Very basic. I wanted to spruce it up a little bit, which is where this came from. It's very cool. Just adding like a dub delay at the end there, little chops, reverses, stuff like that, just to give it a bit of, again, variation, and to mix it up a bit so it's not so linear and boring. So that chugs along here, minimal percussion. Then we'll have a little fill here, getting everything out. And this is our bridge. This is a part here that takes us to our break. So this is where the break starts. This is the bridge where we start bringing in elements, melodic elements and sweeps and atmospheric pads and all that stuff. The bridge is across into the break, so it's not just like a raw transition and sounds very strange. So I'll have a little fill here. Little bit crusher effect on everything there. Then it's just a kick and bass and clap which filter down together over to here. So it's just to get the kick and bass out, so when we get to the break here there's no percussion elements and we don't have our kick and bass present anymore. Exactly the same as the AI project, the last walkthrough that I done, which you can check out as well on YouTube. In this section, just filter everything down to get everything out, getting ready for your break. Then this is where you add in the melodic elements, start bringing them in, filtering them up, getting them bridged across so it's not too much of a quick transition. It's all about smoothing stuff over. All the green, which I will say, the Rusty, this is all Rusty. Rusty done the break, the melody, everything. We added some pads together and worked on some of the layers. There's not even that much, but some of them together. But the majority, I'd say 75%, 80% of the breakdown is Rusty. He smashed the melody in like 15 minutes. Incredible. But we'll get to that. Along here, there's the bridge here. We're just adding in some, I wanted to add in some pads and sections, sounds that's going to complement this section rather, to get us over into the break. So it's just all this atmospheric stuff. You heard the little green, these little snippets here, these are going to be used in the break. Everything green's the breakdown, and then we just have all these layers of pads and stuff to bridge across. Very nice. Very simple, but very nice. Now we'll go through the break. The first section here, 97 to 113. We wanted to just have a little, a piano. There's a piano, a little vocal, just to kind of get you ready for the ARP, which comes in here. There's two sections of the ARP. The ARP comes in here and builds up to the 129 bar there, and then at the 129 bar, it completely changes. Octaves lift, a couple of extra layers are added in, and it's a completely different sequence, so it just adds this big massive wall of energy. But this part here was the complete opposite of that. This was just to kind of keep people ready, hands in the air, getting the goosebumps starting to flow for the ARP, which comes in here. So we'll just have a listen and go through the elements. The goosies are definitely flowing. Every time I listen to it, it gives me them. But yes, we'll have a vocal here. I'm not sure where Rusty got this. I think it was from a contact library. I can't remember the name. You'll probably chop my head off if I did tell you the name as well. We'll have a drone here. It's from Omnisphere. Absolutely unbelievable synth. There's another layer that comes in here, the halfway mark. Just to add a bit more depth to the pads. And this little layer here, I think it's like a saw pad. Yeah. So very dark. This is another. It's like a drone, like a low pad. It's not exactly a drone. It doesn't have enough low end information to be a drone, to be honest. The proper drone comes in here. We left it out deliberately. Then we'll have a little ARP that chugs along. Very nice. And these are very, very cool. Rusty made these. They are, I think, just like stabs, but like loads of delay. The on-boys and like phasers and stuff. Reminds me of Sasha Expander. It sounds a lot like Sasha Expander. Very, very cool. And then down here we just have our piano, which complements the vocal and the pads. Let's have a listen to the vocal and the pads and the piano together. Very, very nice. And then here, this is just like a layer that just fills out the space. Like an atmospheric layer. Oh yes, I missed this. Little pluck. This is my idea. I had some input on the break. I had a little bit, but all together here, all these melodic elements without the effects and stuff, just all gel perfectly together. Everything just sits nice and complements each other, most importantly. This section here, this is where we start to introduce the ARP. This is the peak of the ARP here, 129. This little fill here, and then the peak. This is where I was explaining earlier on. Everything opens up, and the energy's at its fullest. So now we need to start bringing things up. So start off with just the basic arpeggiator cut off right down, and then it starts to filter up as we get to here. I think this layer stays consistent. It does. It's these layers down here that build up. But we'll just have a listen to the ARP, the layers of the ARP. So there's 3 layers here at the beginning. And then when it opens up, we add 2 more. These 2 are to just add to the wall of sound and the energy of the track. So these ones are fully open as this section here opens up. And this one too. Just to kind of make everything as strong as possible together. So we'll have a wee quick listen here through this section before it opens up. section here I was talking about, where Rusty changes the whole sequence of the ARP. He changes the whole sound of it. It's a really, really, really good job. Works in the clubs perfectly. Every hand in the air goes up at this moment every time I've played this. So kudos to Big Rust. He absolutely smashed this bit out of the park. Lift here at the end, this little section, just to give a bit of variation towards the end of the arpeggiator. And then here is the build. So everything here, sorry, not the build, the bridge. This is the bridge that gets you to the build. This is the build here. So obviously it's like you have to get everything out of game. Filter down your leads, your pads, all your volume automation, your sweeps, just get everything across, get all your melodic elements out. So when you get to here, you can add a completely new section. This was the idea, completely new section, and build it right up and then drop it in here. Bog standard stuff, just filtering. Reducing your cutoffs, bringing your cutoffs down. And one thing I've done here, the bridges across, I sampled all the melodic elements together and they chopped them up. Put some delay and like a little reverse effect and stuff in. It's just to kind of give a variation here, because obviously there's a big change in this section. I wanted to have a little variation here. Instead of just the ARPs like filtering down and keeping the same sequence, just want to change it up, make something a little interesting. Works very well. Now this section here is where I come back in again. What I wanted with this section here, the Mexican Rave remix I done for Brian Carney. One of my favourite parts of that track is the build of the drop, the bridge and build. It's just like a lot of acids, big thick acids coming up, the cutoffs coming up, opening up, loads of resonance, very, very in your face. Big build with that, with sweeps, snares, big kick rolls, everything just like a big massive crescendo. And then I had an 8-beat fill, sorry, couldn't find the word there, 2-bar loop, or 2-bar fill, and then the drop. So it's like a big build to here. Then you have this bit of silence, and you can build it up a little tiny bit again, and then you drop in. I thought it worked very, very well, and I hadn't done anything similar to it since, so I decided that I wanted to try it with this track. So first thing I done straight away was just going looking for acids. So this is a good sound that I got. We'll actually listen to the build first of all, and then go through the elements. I think that's better to do rather than listening to them individually first. So that's everything in. As I say, I went looking for the acids first, just as the first layer that I got. Nice and clean. Layered up with this one underneath. We'll have some bridge effects here. These are just layers. This one here is like a panning layer, just goes from right to left, left to right rather. And then we'll have a sub layer here that follows the exact same sequence as the acids, just to kind of give some low information in the bottom end for the build, because you just don't want it to be lacking. It needs to have some sort of sub. I didn't want to use like a sub pad or a drone. It just wouldn't have worked with the sequences that we're going on, so I had to just make something that matches the acids. very, very simple. Yeah, but that's all the melodic elements are, the acids and the little layers and stuff that are bridged and put together. And then we have obviously all the effects and the stuff to build it up and build the tension. So got our big impact there. Razor 1. I think this is one down here. Yeah, it's just a white noise. Down sweep. Just a clap, side chain clap. Yeah, there's some more atmosphere here. So there's one big razor here, and then we have some more coming in here. So all these together with the tension of the acids and stuff. Works very well, just gets everything all built up. And yeah, as I say, build the tension. You obviously have to have your snares and your stuff like that complements it the most, to be honest. So a big snare here with a kick. Once it gets to here, there's a little variation. This is another snare. And then we'll have a third little roll here. One thing I will show you with this little a plug-in that I used to make a little cool effect here. So listen. So this here little plugin that I used here, it's called Glitch Pitch. What this is amazing for is for like transitions and making your builds and stuff a little bit more interesting. So what I done here was just I don't really want to go through the plugin because it is quite complicated in areas. What you do is you just modulate these parameters. So the low pass, high pass, you can change the pitch, the rate, the volume. You can pan it. And you can obviously apply a gate as well. So what you do is like here, I want this to be going for 3 bars. So this part here to here is 3 bars. 4 bars, sorry. But it's starting here and I want it to finish before it gets to the fill. So this is the line. So this is the line that applies the modulation. So it's gotta make a pan. Have a listen to what it's actually doing first. So it's like a dub delay. It's like a dub delay, but what it's doing is it's making it pan. You can bring the rate down, which is applying like a bit crusher. You can change the pitch. Very, very cool plugin. You have 3 of these chains to do your modulation, so you can change the line to do whatever you want. You can come down, come back up. You can affect it in different ways. You can do like really, really big chops. The possibilities are endless. It's an amazing plugin, and it really does take you to dive deep with it to get really, really complex results. But it's also useful for just stuff like this, very, very simple stuff. Just like this little transition. So if we listen to these snares together, you can just hear this little bit in the background that goes from the left to right because I'm applying the pan here with the dub delay. Now here what I've done with all those melodic elements, the acid and all that, I done the exact same thing as I've done in this section over here. This. By taking all the elements and just like grouping them all together, recording as an audio clip, and just making a quick little variation before you hit your last fill. So all the acids and stuff together. This little section here is the variation. So it's just a bit crusher, chopped up, with a bit of reverb on it. So you can listen to them all together. Simple stuff, just to give, again, more variation. Keep it less boring and linear. Now we have our fill. This is the 8 beat fill, 2 bar fill. What I wanted to do here was just bring everything almost to silence, and then it means when it kicks back in here with the kick and bass, you get your maximum impact. So it's just like a impact, and some layers on top, a little vocal, and drum fill, and then this is actually took this out of my remix. In case you're thinking I'm stealing on Brian Carney there, technically I am, but it is my remix. I just took a little sample out of the original, sorry, the remix, and put it in this. Exactly the same place. Actually, I used the same sample, like that little idea before the drop. So this is a little 8-beat fill before the actual kick and bass drops in. I'll just have a listen to this with the kick and bass first little section, then we'll go through the new kick and bass. So bringing everything down to silencer for just those 2 bars, works really well when it kicks in. Takes the clubs apart, maximum impact. So here what we wanted to do is make another brand new bass. We didn't want to have the same bass line as the start, the bouncy one, because as good as that is and as much as we love it, we didn't think, me and Rusty didn't think that it was going to be enough of an impactful bass to get the reaction that we wanted from the crowds when we were dropping this track. So by keeping the same kick and sub, we made this new drop bass. So this is just 3 layers here. First of all, this is the first one. That's a layer out of another track that I've done. A finished track that I've done. I just took that out. It's like a reverse layer. That was the first one we started with. Then we got a bass from Mr. Shane Kinsel's pack again. It's just like a bass stab that's like really wide. The compliments. It's incredible, the both of them singly. Don't sound like much at all, but you put them together. Just complement each other so well. And then there's a third layer here, which is from Serum, I believe. What we done was just like, it was like a dubstep bass line, just held in like a sustained note in Serum, and it created this like crazy chained dubstep bass line. And what I done was just like chopped a little section of it out, bounced out the audio, chopped a little section of it out and reversed it, and added a little bit of isotope trash there, distortion, some EQ to it, and sidechained it, and just put it over the top of these, and just ended up working so well. They'll work well together. Then this is just a stab on top of the bass. Gives a little bit of body and a little bit on the high ends with that little stab. So all together, the kick and bass. Worked out very well. Love that bass line. But yeah, that's the bass for this section. And then what the idea was just to go to town with the effects. So loads of effects chains, loads of little individual samples. Really, really fun to make. I'm not going to go through all these individually because the video is, let me see, 30 minutes. This will probably take another 30 minutes to do, to be honest. So yeah, we'll just listen to them individually, or sorry, listen to them as a group and skip individually. You can hear them all working together. I've touched on this before in the last video, in the AI video, which you can check out on YouTube as well. It's just like question and answers. So every time there's a little hit, there's something else coming after it, which is like the answer. Then you have all your filler stuff. Just make sure everything sounds nice together, and you shouldn't have a problem. So that's the first little section there. I'll drop a kick and bass in with these as well. So you heard them all working together. It's all just individual hits. Everything's panned out, separated. Some are wide, some are very modified down the middle. And obviously there's a lot of EQ and stuff to make everything fit together with the bass. So here, start bringing in some percussion. I think it's just the open hat. And a couple more, a little vocal loop there as well. more effects, some acids as well. So this part here, this is the build, the last build. This is our last big surge of energy here, where like the track's gonna lift. So this section here is just like the build. So we'll start bringing in our snares again, and do, I think this is like a cool dub delay. It's like a bass dub delay. We'll bring in our percussion. So there's a little bit of like an atmospheric percussion loop or something going on there. Filter down what we have, our hat. Then this is our snares. Our kick and our snares. This little section here, the last hit, just like a delay, and then I think this is the sub and the drop bass, like a dub delay. Yep, and then we'll have our bit crusher on everything there. And this little fill here was actually me recorded. Let me see. This is just all sounds together, so that's not me. The next part is just like scratching, reverse. This is me. So I was looking for a sample here. I'll actually take this out. So there was like, I wanted this little vinyl scratch and little busy part here. Then I wanted a nice sample for here to go in before it kicks in into the next section. So I tried finding vocal samples, tried finding anything that would work, to be honest, and I couldn't. I was getting very frustrated, so I just whipped my phone out and thought what would fit there, like as a vocal. I wish I still had the processing on this, to be honest, to show you how I done it, because it's quite cool. But I just recorded myself saying dance in like an American accent into my phone, and then brought it in here, if I remember rightly, pitched it down an octave. Some chorus, there's like a flange effect that you can do that like makes it sound very robotic, and I think that was it. Obviously compressed and stuff, but this is the sample. This is how it turned out. Dance. Yes, there's like a has effect delay on it as well to spread it out. Dance. But that's actually me. Yeah, you can kind of hear the similarities a bit. Dance. But it was the only sample that would work on the first try. It worked perfectly. I was happy with it. It's exactly what I was looking for. So don't shy away from doing that, producers. It does work for me. I do it a lot. If you can't find a sample, you know what you're looking for, but you can't find it or anything similar to it, don't be fearful to throw your phone out, record it, upload it down, or convert it to a WAV or whatever you need to do, and then put it in your DAW, and that'll be you. It works and it's fun as well. Dance. Right, okay, back to this. This being the last part. Bring all the kick and bass and percussion in. This is the last part of energy. Everything lift. I got this Hoover sound from Serum. So it's not the Hoover sound. Hoover comes in after, sorry. It's just like this little sequence I found in Serum that I thought worked really, really well with the kick and bass. And it obviously touches back on the hard dance influence, because it is very hard dancey sounding. That's the influence I wanted to have in this track, so it just seemed like a perfect fit. That little part with the that little sound, sorry, with the kick and bass and percussion, it just works really, really well, I think, after this fill. It's always difficult getting a big lift in energy after these drops. You obviously have to add in another element to do so, but it has to be perfect, and you can't add too much where it takes away from the kick and bass. So it was tricky, but we got there in the end, I think. Dance. Some more effects in here, reverse, stabs and whatnot. And then here, this is where we bring in the little Hoover I got out of a pack. This is a section here. Let me have a listen to that on its own. Works very, very well together. These two complement each other very well. What I wanted to do here is just make a quick fill and variation. And before the Hoover come in, I had it really basic before, and I wasn't happy with it. It was like, I think this is the very last thing I done on the track. I just thought it was too linear and needed to be a little change here before. That's the sound I made in Serum, I think, if I remember rightly. Very fun. Very fun synth. It's just these layers here in this little fill. Very basic stuff, just putting all the sounds together. And then chopping up the sequence. And then I've done a reverse on it as well. Just to, again, to give some variation on the same sounds, so it's not too boring. Simple stuff. All this together, coming in with the Hoover and that. Then there's this last section here. This is our outro. Whoops, this is our outro here. So again, just like filtering everything down, our last build, and then your outro takes you to the end of the track, and that's you finished. From there, it's just your sweeps, your percussion, your kick and bass, everything filtered down, adding some effects in, making it as half interesting. As I said before in the last AI project, no longer than a minute. You don't need any longer than a minute just to get your track finished. For your DJ sets, this is where you mix it out here, and then your last minute's just getting your other tune ready to drop in and whatnot. Very simple stuff. Outro we're not going to go through because it is extremely boring. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. It is everything that we can go through on this track. I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly enjoyed making this one. This one was really, really fun. Very, very good crack with the big man, Rusty. And yeah, more of this will follow. We will have more tunes coming soon. We've already started another one ahead of our big show in Belfast here on Easter. So yeah, once we get that one done and gets released, we'll do another walkthrough of that. But yes, everyone, thank you for the support on this track. It's still going up the charts. If you would like to get a copy of it, there will be a Beatport link posted below. If this is shared on my Facebook, it'll be posted below. If it's on my Instagram, it'll be in my bio. And if it's on the YouTube channel, it'll probably be below in the description. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Yeah, very, very fun. And we will continue to do more. Take care, folks, and all the best to you. Nice one.